Okay, we're continuing in the Sefer svili2, the summary of the Likutei Moharan. We're still in the introduction. We're describing here and now the connections and the ways, the importance of learning the connections between the different topics in the Likutei Moharan, which is essentially what the Sefer svili2 is coming to do, to explain these connections. We're going to start with the Parparas L'Chachma. This is called this title of the page called Tzuras HaKsharim, the type of Ksharim. And Parparas L'Chachma says here the importance of studying the connections in the Likutei Moharan, that this is the very important way of learning the Likutei Moharan. He says, Ki ritzono sheRabbeinu HaKadosh haya, gam ken, sha'oskim belimud svarav HaKadoshim yagdilu v'yamku daitom, lahavin hitev niflos, drochim nifloim, nifloim sheyesh b'chol maimah u'maimah. He says that the ratzon of the Rebbe, of the Rabbeinu HaKadosh, is that these people that are learning the Sfarim should pay attention very carefully to the amazing connection between the topics in Likutei Moharan. V'niflos haksharim v'achibur sheyesh ben kol inyan v'inyan ma'inyanim hamavurim b'chol maimar maimar. And to understand the different connection and the different relationship between the topics inside each Torah, each individual chapter, in each chapter in its own. So now we're continuing in Chaim Ran. That's very basically showing us. The Parparas L'Chachma says he's a Talmud of Rav Nosson, I think. I think he was with Rav Nosson for a certain amount of time. He is describing to us that the Rebbe wanted us in particular to learn and to understand the connection between the topics in the Likutei Moharan. Now, it's not by accident. These connections and these topics are what makes up a significant portion, if not the most important portion, of the methodology in learning and understanding Likutei Moharan. So the Chaim Ran, again, in a different in Sichos, in Chaim Ran, he says, "Hakesher v'achibur shel haTorah shelo hu kein binyan v'ariga mamash." Now here the Rebbe is describing the way, the type of connection in detail, and giving examples, very on a theoretical level. We're not going to get into actual Torahs yet until we start the Likutei Moharan in svili2. But he's describing that the Torahs are built in like a building and like weaving, the intertwined and interconnected threads. Shebetchila mekashu mechaber shnei dvarim yachad. Here, for example, Aleph and Beis. In the beginning, he's going to attach two things together. And here we drew it out, Aleph and Beis. He's attaching the two things together with some arrow, with some line, with some connection between the two. V'achar kach kosher u'mechaber davar shlishi la'asheni, v'kama ksharim chazokim. And afterwards he attaches the second thing here to a third thing with some very strong connections. V'chen mishlishi l'ravi, and similarly between the third and the fourth thing. Here, 3 and 4. V'chen lahalan, and so on and so forth. Achal pirov chozer b'chol pam lachzor v'lekasher ilu ha'arba dvarim yachad. Afterwards he goes on and he connects the four things together as he's going to explain this connection between Dal and Aleph. Now this is again is a very loose example, just a theoretical example. This is not specifically saying how all the Torahs are built exactly like this, but this type of method we're going to see. Because in the beginning the connection between all 4 points are not one to the next. They're connected because A, Aleph, is connected to B, and B, Beis, is connected to Gimel, and Gimel is connected to Dalet. There's no direct connection between the fourth thing and the first thing. Maybe pasuk or maimar Rabbeinu Zichron Livracha. Afterwards, he's going to bring a pasuk or a divrei Chazal or shar raya acheres shayidei mekashrim yachad ad shemechaber bekesher hadak hitev kol ilu arba dvarim yachad. And then he's going to bring more psukim or more a pasuk to connect the fourth to the first. So we have here a direct connection. And similarly, he may connect again the third to the first, or he may connect the second to the fourth, or other things like that. Rav Nosson is not exactly speaking those aspects out, but this is what I call one package. The Rav Nosson is going to describe one package. We're going to describe it. We're going to give more definitions and more explanations later. Now we're continuing in the same sikha. Achar kach, chozer mekasher, od kama dvarim ze leze. Afterwards, he connects a number of things to each other. Here in this example, it's going to be Hey, Vav, Zayin, and Ches. He's going to connect all these together. V'yachad, kulam hu mekasher lachibur v'kesher rishon. And afterwards, he's going to connect this whole package to the package that we built in the beginning. ובתחילה אין קשר לשני החבילוס הקדושות האלו, כי אם על ידי איזה קשר שיש בין דבר אחד מהחבילה השנייה לדבר אחד מהחבילה הראשונה. In the beginning, there's no real connection between the first package and the second package, except for one item which was connected from the first package to the second package here. For example, Aleph and Hey, he happened to connect one thing from this package to the next thing in that package. אבל אחר כך hu chozer lekashram berayos v'drachim niflaim. And afterwards, he's going to go back and he's going to make more connections. Shemamshich koiros lekasher habinyan mishlishi shebarishon l'ravi shebasheni. Afterwards, he's going to come and connect it with more connections by connecting the third thing from the first package to the fourth thing in the second package, like this, from 3 to 4, which is number gimel to ches. This is again just examples. V'achar mechavila shniya l'shlishis, and afterwards from the third package, from the second package, mechavila shniya l'shlishis, from the second package to the third package. Gam ken kach, v'chen lahalan, and so on and so forth. He's going to connect these packages together. V'achar mekashron kulam meyachad b'derech nifla, v'kol ze inyan shamati ve'evanti mipiva kadosh, l'macharas yom kippurim tov kuf ayin aleph. Shekodem istalkusa. Right before he was nistalic, mamish days before he was nistalic, we see that he's speaking about the importance of understanding the connection in his Torah. It must be a very important thing, as also the later, the other Mefarshim in Likutim, like the Bir Likutim, mentions that this is the most important aspect, understanding the connection between the topics. And you see many places Rav Nosson himself goes in to explain and to ask, well, according to what we seem to see, there's no real connection between point A and point D or point C, or the flow doesn't connect properly. And he goes on to connect the ideas, because it's very important to connect everything together. There are many explanations for this. Here we're not going to get into it, but this is how the Torahs are built, and this is how it's meant to be learned. When a person does learn this and does understand it, he'll be able to connect tremendous ideas very quickly in his mind in understanding, because that's the way the Torahs of the Rebbe were built. They were built in connection in topics, to connect different topics and showing the relationship and the depth, how one topic is a pneumistic aspect of another topic, and so on and so forth. Or two things are two bechinas, or different hakdamas, or different things we're going to see. V'od tzrichim laharchiv hadibur b'zeh v'lahavi lezeh dugma mekama Torahs kedei shetavin inyan zeh heitev. But still, we have to give examples. We have to elaborate on this topic and to give examples so that a person can understand it very well. Now, in the Sefer svili2, it's basically the purpose of the Sefer is to do this, to outline many of the different connections. Again, it's very hard to write down all of it. We have a computer program for that, but it's harder to read it and to learn to understand it. So we're going to go through the basic connections. And when a person does this, he'll understand some of the ways of this very special Sefer.